audience and groups and even people who are going to come afterwards and see this are going to say, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I've been dealing with. So always
Absolutely.
enjoy it.
Yeah, so this is one of those, such a great way, drawing that little line down the middle, plus, minus, and it is really great with building clarity because what we do is we start with the negative, then we come back and say, we flip it. We go ahead and we say, thank you for sharing that, by the way. We flip it, and then we ask the question, what makes us think that we weren't getting a fair deal? And then we kind of just keep going back and forth. Well, the way I knew I was not getting a fair deal because one person said one thing, another said something else. And then we just keep coming back. So instead of it being accepted, expensive and your time being wasted, what would you like instead? Back here. And then we just keep asking questions back and forth. Okay. So you're going to be working with this a lot more. And again, the beliefs are what we are telling ourselves about our situation. And if you were to tune into, and Sandy, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much. And I'm going to switch over to my avatar. There we go, because it so bothers me. It's just look at I can't look at myself and talk at the same time. It's very distracting. Yeah, good. And we did get that recording. Good. Yes, I am. All right. Now, the thing is, let me get over to here. A big piece, and remember, this is the emotion of money. And when we have trouble making commands, we can't quite figure out what it is that we want. Sometimes we can tune into the feeling of the situation versus what we're thinking about it. Now, remember, when we're thinking about it, that's a process of our brain, and we're asking questions and then we're answering them. Our thoughts are the way we ask questions, and then our beliefs are the answers. So sometimes the start of coming to a new belief is to start asking new questions. And I don't have a slide for this, but I want to kind of give you some clues that Masara is really great at. Um, let's see. When you let Sandy go, the echo disappeared. Okay. Yeah, I think we had a little feedback on there. On asking the questions. So instead of saying, why is this always happening to me? Sometimes you might say, I wonder why I'm always allowing this to happen to me. I wonder what in me is accepting that this is the way it is. I wonder why I'm allowing this to happen. I wonder, Sandy, we might actually have you type some of these questions, but I'm going to come back to Rich in a moment. What in me is accepting this as normal? What would it be like if this was not the normal way of being? Instead of being upset that, man, every single time I get close to my goal, something happens and I fail. And we go, why is that happening? We could say, I wonder what in me expects this to happen. And what would I like to create instead? Am I willing to take a look at that? What would it be like to have a goal and achieve it and then feel good about what I achieved? Because what's happening is we will come up to the, we'll come right up to the goal line. We'll have this happen and we're used to having this block and then we're fighting and arguing about this block. And it's like, I want to overcome it. I want to get around it. Okay. Oh, but this block is our programming. This is our train that's been set in at a neurological level. There's a force field of energy that's there, and it feels wrong to move past it. Then, in this little space right here between these two, this is where all your glitches start happening. And Bruce Lipton talks about this. in Consciousness of Belief is the name of the book. Yeah, Consciousness of Belief by Bruce Lipton. That right in here, when we start moving past all the systems, habits, protocols, the customs that are encoded in our morphogenic field, what will happen is it causes this disruption in our energy field and things start glitching and breaking up. Our satisfaction is on the other side, okay? But the old way of thinking is that we have to bust through, break through. We're going to make that problem our bitch. We're going to get it. We're going to make it mine, right? But that's still opposition, okay? And so there are some things that you have to be willing to power through and say, you know what, I'm not giving up. Persistence is a superpower. Well, what we're saying with the one command, and really what we were doing with the energy, is like, well, here's a situation. Here I am. We know that there's a peaceful solution. And we're allowing ourselves to go into theta, and I could like take my hands up out of space here, but we're actually allowing ourselves to disengage and come to an expansion and then move ourselves into position where there is a solution that already exists. Because up until this point, and I hope this is helping, we are identifying ourselves as one who is stopped. We are identifying ourselves and treating ourselves and meeting the world as one who is stopped and blocked. Okay? And we would say, oh, my history proves it. Kathryn, this has happened over and over again. And there's stuff that wasn't my fault. It really wasn't my fault that there was a big economic downturn. It wasn't my fault that the person that I decided to marry and trust and I gave everything to suddenly changed or they died. That was out of my control. Well, I really don't know at what point there was an agreement, a collective agreed upon reality that we came here. But the way that you're meeting all of this, when you change your position from here to opposition to one who is saying, okay, I'm in co-creation with this, and I have the most flexibility. And okay, this situation is existing, but this situation is not going to define me. This situation is not really a statement about who I am and my personal value. This is a situation that needs to be adjusted and maybe worked around. So then when we're going up to theta, we're taking the situation up with us. We're allowing it to change form. And what we're actually doing in our unconscious mind is we're unfreezing and unlocking. And we're allowing the solution that's actually there present at the same time to naturally arise. But what the main point I want to make too is that we get stuck on the block instead of saying, hey, where is it I really want to be? When we're working with the one command, we focus on this piece that's on the other side, okay? And we say, I don't know how I am able to have financial security. I don't know how I go for a goal, I move through the obstacles, I meet the opposition powerfully and with grace. I only know I have achieved my goal now, and I feel good. I feel powerful. I'm happy I'm here. And then that experience is just one of your many experiences that you build your life on. But what stops people is this piece right here because remember, yesterday I mentioned that our programs are on or off. And when we're in our powerless state and we're bumping up against it, we're telling ourselves, blah, blah, blah. We're telling ourselves through our beliefs, blah, blah, blah. What's wrong with you? You're always doing this. You get too excited. You always fail. Why don't you just give up? Blah, blah, blah. And that blah, blah, blah was usually a message that came from outside of you when you were a small child. You like this little visualization? Blah, blah, blah. And then, in order to keep from being criticized, we, as children, internalize this message so that we don't get punished, so that we can remember the rules. Now, the proof of this is if I was one of three girls, and if you've ever seen kids, when one kid starts to break a rule, the other kids will bring it right back into line really fast, going, hey, you're supposed to do it this way, this way, this way. We've got a 7-year-old at our house now, and she is laying down the riot act about what rules are supposed to be because she doesn't have brothers and sisters. And we're going, we're the grown-ups, do you mind? But it's that internalization, and then we start criticizing ourselves. Wow, 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 wow. But inside, we're still like this little kid, okay? And then when we start saying all that negative stuff to ourselves, we start reacting. And then our neurology is anchored in. When we hear those words, then we start shutting down. And the strategies that we use to take care of ourselves kind of start becoming our default strategy. So if suddenly going into confusion and I don't know and I don't know what that was. I wasn't paying attention then. I think they were talking about it. Why don't you go ask so and so? But another strategy of a kid is to lock down because of what happens when their little brains are stressed and they get overloaded with cortisol. It literally starts breaking down the cells, and a kid phases out, shuts down, they zone. And you go, "Are you listening to me?" So they've got this adult that's yelling. I'm gonna be an adult for a minute. I'm gonna be up above you. Are you listening to me? Pay attention. Hey, I'm talking to you right now. Was that just your mother? Okay. Well, what's happening is, sorry, clear that. I love you. You're my darling. What's happening is that kid has shut down. And then all of that energy is going into them. Or maybe the kid got frozen out and they felt abandoned and that hurt. And then they shut themselves down. And that's what we're talking about on those frozen pieces. And we're going to be meeting that. So those beliefs are often those internalized messages of the criticism and not enough. And then when we're trying to take care of ourselves by running away, hiding, shutting down, then we start feeling more and more powerless. Okay. Then this is the stuff starts messing with our money. And so for me, when I would say I would lose all my money, I wasn't paying attention. It was really more of a sense of how I was not caring for myself physically or emotionally, not feeling taken care of. Because in our family system, not intentionally, but it was, no, we're not going to take care of you. We're not able to take care of you, but we're not going to give you permission to take care of yourself either. So it was being in this double bind. And that wasn't my parents' intention. The very best parents can still cause a mistake. Okay, so hopefully this helps Rich just a little bit. So, how do we install beliefs that pull us in the direction we consciously want? Well, one, using this little flip message is a very powerful thing. But then the next thing that you could do, and I could almost have been um, drawing this, is if you had what you wanted, how would you know? So this is another question I want you to ask, and you can write down your notes. If I had what I needed and wanted, how would I know? Now, I'm going to tell you how a lot of people answer that question. It would be great. It would be marvelous. I'd be in a flow. It would be easy. It would be just this amazing, expansive state of being. Now, if you want to walk around going, it's great, it's wonderful, I'm walking around in an expansive state of being, that's fabulous. But then, what does that look like in your day-to-day life? When you wake up in the morning, what is your first thought? Is it, I've got to pay the bills today. Oh, I've got to get to work. Another day, another dollar. This ain't getting it. But if you were in a happy, expanded state of being, your first thought of the day would be, what? So, in that first thought of the day that you want to have, wouldn't it be great to wake up and go, All right. Did you know that if you were to program yourself to wake up in the morning and go, mm, all right, toss those covers back and you're up and ready to face the day, looking forward to it. Wouldn't that be one of the ways that you would know that you were living a happier life? So you could make a command that says, I don't know how I wake up in the morning feeling good and I go, all right. I only know it's all right now. It's that simple. We overthink this. So what would be another way? Let's say that, we do have situations that we have to deal with that are unpleasant, like unexpected bills will show up. And we have had unexpected bills suddenly get paid too. I wound up in the hospital a couple of years ago. An entire bill got written off, and we have had so many people get their hospital bills completely written off, mortgages written off, debts completely forgiven, working with the one command. Unexpected cash coming in. But wouldn't it be good to know that if you could program in advance that when you face opposition, that you're able to connect in to your greater awareness and understanding, that you're able to connect in with dignity and grace. We recently lost our mom, and we had to make the decision in advance on how we really wanted to do this. And for me personally, I had to say, I'm going to choose love. I can't worry about my mom because the grief was already just when we found out she was sick. And I made the decision to love her and to choose to do that, even though we knew this was going to be a really hard thing. That decision to love, there's someone trying to Skype in me directly. And that decision to love her took me through. And then when we were on the other side and we had lost her, there was a grief. This extra question came in and it said, can you let me love you? Can you choose to let me love you? And that was a thought totally outside of my normal awareness. So we could say, when we think about making a big change in our life, and I know, Rich, you're getting ready to transition into an amazing stage of your life. In fact, guys, if you don't mind, I really want to speak directly to Rich here for a second, but I think that this applies to everybody. Coming into this older time of our life, coming in, like I'm 55, we're coming into the time that's called the ambassador time. Carl Jung talks about this. We have the time of being a youth, then we are the warrior, we're the athlete, the warrior, and then we move into the state of being the statesman. And that warrior time is the time when you're building your business and you're expanding your territory. Then there's the time you're moving into the statesman where you're not only enjoying the fruits of your labor, but where everything that you've learned up until now and all of your experiences, you get to have a greater sphere of influence. It's more than the enjoyment that you want to have for yourself, but there's the effect that we want to have in the world and the influence and the ability to have choices. And this is a big stage that a lot of us that are like in my audience, because we're all around the same age, that we're coming up into, that we're tired of being that warrior of going out, hitting it every day. It's like, I really don't want to go out and compete with 21-year-olds at the same at that entry level, when I have all these years of experience and I shouldn't have to prove myself anymore. Well, that dissatisfaction is a signal of change that you're ready to make. Okay? And I want to see if I can find a prettier picture for us to look upon, Sandy. Maybe we could, just going to come to this one for a minute. Okay. That this is the sign that you're ready for change. But the anxiety is, if I'm not the warrior, if I'm not earning money, if I'm not the breadwinner, then who am I? And for me, coming out of being the worker bee, and this happens for a lot of people when they're leaving a regular career and then coming into being an entrepreneur. this is a big shift, and there's a difference in what you have to do to survive as a worker bee employee versus being an entrepreneur. And then when you get older and you're ready to say, I'm really ready to put my business career behind me, I'm ready to enjoy life, but I want to be able to enjoy it in a way that maybe I get to be with my grandchildren and travel, and while I still have energy, I can do this, but I have no idea how to do the money. And really, what would I do with myself every day if I weren't working? Because I wasn't trained to not work. Anyone got that one? Yeah. So this creates a little anxiety because your personal value over the years has evolved into your ability to earn money, your position in a community, your value of what you contribute to the house. I mean, there's still members of my family that say, Kathryn, why don't you get a job? I go, one, earn way more money doing this. Right now I'm in a big business startup, and I mean, there's a lot of extra hours right now. And so there's a time I can market and a time I can do this. I'm in this transition right now. And my family's like, just go get a job. Wouldn't that be easier? Well, I would be miserable. And everyone around me would be so miserable if I had a job because they'd have to listen to me gripe and moan and complain all the time. It would be awful. Okay. But so I just want you to know that what you can do is you can install into the future the things that you fear, because what's happening, and I've mentioned this before, when we think about making change, or the first thing our unconscious mind does, I'm going to just repeat this, is we go into our own experience about what we know about making change. Then we start looking back on our history, on all the changes that we faced. And if we're fearful in our current state, then we're going to be we're going to be looking for and finding everything that's that negative emotion. Okay? That's that match. Then we take that fear, all the proof of all that negativity, and that gets projected into the future. But then the way that you can actually turn that around is you could say, was there a time that I made a change and I had the outcome I wanted? Okay, or it turned out better than I hoped. That puts your brain on another search back into your experience. And maybe you could only think of one time in your whole life that that had ever happened, but that's all you need. Maybe you can't even think of one time in your whole life, but you saw that someone else had that happen. And if it happened for someone else, it can happen for you. So what you say is, I don't know how I'm able to make change in the future as easily as I've made change in the past. Now, the unconscious mind goes, did we make positive change in the past? I don't know. We don't usually tell those stories, but then it goes on the search. And it goes, oh, yeah, I've seen people make that change. I don't know how it's possible for me to make the changes in my life in a positive way. And I have all of my history supports my ability to make those changes. I only know it's so now, and I am fulfilled. Do you like that? I mean, think about this. I don't know how I'm able to change my beliefs, and everything that I've ever experienced supports that ability to make that change. I only know it's so now, and I am fulfilled. Hey, Sandy, I think we're coming up on our mini break time. We are. I hope that that was helpful. Let me switch off of this major screen. We're going to take just a little, this one we're just going to do a little 5-minute break, or actually 10 minutes. We're going to come back at 10 after the hour. And then we're going to come back and we are going to, and we're going to need your manual. And then we're going to do a little meditation piece. So we're going to take did I say 10 minutes? 10-minute break. All right, darlings, I'm going to put myself on mute here. All right, bye-bye.